A tough night for the Ottawa Senators at the KeyBank Center in Buffalo. Jamie McLennan, Matt Cullen to break this all down. And there were good spurts of the game for the Senators here, Jamie, but early on in periods, particularly the second period and then again in the third period, that ultimately upended Ottawa in this hockey game.
Well, it did. You have to be consistent throughout the game, and especially coming out of the dressing room to start a period, you have to be dialed in. Well, the Buffalo Sabres were a desperate team coming into this game, having lost 3 in a row. Here's early in the second period, a seam play goes backdoor on Ullmark. To start the third period, you give up 2 quick ones. Now, this is a moldy goal. Sneaks through the body there, just rolls in. And here's a loose puck battle that banks in off the body of Tage Thompson. They challenged this. Now, they lost the challenge because they deemed that Jake Sanderson had pushed Thompson into the goaltender. I agree with it. The goaltender, I didn't think would made that save regardless if Thompson was there or not. But back to it, the team was not ready to start periods, and that's what cost them 2 points on the road.
So that was one problem. The second problem was the man in the net, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who made 37 saves and was airtight on some of these chances against the Senators, who couldn't really get anything going for a long period of time.
They did have some looks in the goaltender. It was one of those nights where when you're dialed in, good things happen. You make some really good saves, but you also get some favorable bounces. You put Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is a 6'5" goaltender, covers the net really well. He's got good feet. And you could tell that the Senators were trying to throw everything at the net to get him off kilter. No better save than that one on Noah Gregor on a 2-on-0 with Josh Norris. But the Sens were trying to push, but he was able to get some favorable bounces as well. That one went off his head. But all night long, you could tell he was dialed in, and the Sens didn't have an answer for him. They didn't execute on rebounds or anything to elevate that puck, but UPL was rock solid. He was a difference maker. He was better than the other guy at the other end.
Third win for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and he made 37 saves while doing so. Just 29 saves on 34 shots for Linus Ullmark, who did make some quality saves, but again, a couple of goals that he might like to have back. So prompts the question, who do you go with on Thursday? Do you go back to Linus Ullmark, who was paid to be the #1 goaltender in the nation's capital, or Anton Forsberg, who has 2 shutouts in his 6 starts to begin the year?
I think it's easy to go to Anton Forsberg because you just mentioned he has 2 shutouts in his last 3 games. Now, you can make an argument that you give Linus Ullmark an opportunity to get right back in the net to make up for it. I didn't think he had a poor game. I didn't think he had his A game. And there were a lot of guys throughout the lineup who didn't have their best. And when I talked about the consistency of this game for the Ottawa Senators, the goaltender has to wear it as well, because early in the third period, that squeaker goal that goes through the body and rolls onto his pad and finds the back of the net, you need that save at critical times for your team to have confidence and settle in. And Ullmark didn't have that save early in those periods where the team, they did get chances at the other end. We just talked about UPL being the difference. So I think it would be easy to go to Anton Forsberg. I mentioned also, this is a healthy competition in net because Ullmark is not a 65-game starter. He's more of a 45 to 50-game guy. That means the other guy, which is Anton Forsberg, has to absorb a lot of minutes. So they're going to push each other all season long. I think this is a healthy competition. And as we mentioned right at the start of the question, Forsberg has 2 shutouts in his last 3 games. Give him an opportunity to continue to roll.
Let's take the temperature here. Let's stick the thermometer in. The Senators have a 6-6 record through 12 games on the season. They've looked great some nights. They've blown out their opponents, but they've also taken some big scores against as well. How frustrating must it be for Travis Green and the staff and the players to go through these ups and downs, the win one, lose one, and there's not really a lot of unity between the games?
Well, you're looking for the word consistency, and I think that's what it is. When you're talking about, you have a great game, world beaters, and then a game where you're back on your heels and you're giving up a lot of chances and you come out. I'll look to the record on the road. That's the bottom line is
1-5.
1-5 is not good enough. That's not playoff hockey because your home record is terrific. They've played well on home ice for the most part and been able to get points. On the road, you've got to get closer to 500 to be a playoff hockey team. So I think that you're back to the drawing board. A lot more consistency, a lot more urgency on the road, and that's where you'll climb the standings.
Buffalo has been a tough trip for the Senators over the last few years. They dropped their 4th in the last 5 trips into the Niagara Falls area and into Buffalo. They'll try and make amends and beat another New York State team. They take on the Islanders at home at the Canadian Tire Center, a game you can catch right here on TSN in the Senators region.